All right, let's dive into this
Yeah.
world of generative AI
Okay.
and all the ways it might impact society. We've got research articles,
correct.
expert insights, the whole nine yards.
Sounds good.
So let's get started.
Yeah, and I think a good place to start is just what is generative AI?
Yeah.
What makes it different from just
Wow.
regular AI or other AI?
I think that is a great place to start because everyone's kind of throwing that term around these days. So
Yeah.
you know how some AI can look at a picture and be like, hey, there's a cat in this picture.
Mm-hmm.
Generative AI can actually create that cat picture. It can create images.
Oh, wow.
It can create text, music, even 3D models.
So it's not just recognizing patterns,
Right.
it's actually creating
That's something-
something new based on
Yeah.
what it's learned.
And there are a lot of different ways that it does this.
Yeah.
One that I saw in the applications of generative AI source
Mm-hmm.
talked about neural rendering, which I thought was really fascinating because it's like you're teaching AI to almost see the world the way we see it
Uh-huh.
and then take that information and create a video or an image.
So almost like an AI artist or filmmaker.
Yeah. And I remember reading about
Yeah.
GANs,
Yes.
generative adversarial networks, and the generative AI models source.
Yes, and those are super interesting.
They're so cool. It's like,
I feel like that's a big one when it comes to image generation.
it is. So
Let's-
it's essentially two AI systems that are working against each other.
Right.
One is trying to create these images, and the other one's like a super sleuth trying to figure out,
Got it.
is this real or is this fake?
That's really cool. It's like they're constantly trying to outdo each other.
Yeah, and that's what makes them so good
Yeah.
at creating things that look like the real deal.
But all this is really cool, but I'm interested to talk more about how it impacts us,
Right.
our everyday lives.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest questions surrounding AI is how it's going to change the future of work.
Right.
Will robots be taking our jobs?
And the sources we have offer some pretty interesting perspectives
Okay.
on this,
Huh?
applications of generative AI and generative AI models. They both mention that sectors like
Okay.
manufacturing and construction, we're going to see a lot more automation there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But something that I thought was interesting is that
Yeah.
even creative fields might not be immune.
Yeah, that's right. The AI automation and new jobs article from generative AI models mentioned that.
Yeah.
And that really got me thinking. Because it's like, what's going to happen to all those jobs?
Yeah.
What will happen to the people that have those jobs?
It's definitely something to think about.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
it's also important to keep in mind that,
Yeah.
when we talk about jobs disappearing,
Right.
that same article talks about new jobs emerging.
Yeah.
So there are going to be jobs in AI development, training, management.
Okay.
We might even see completely new industries popping up around this.
Yeah. So it's like with
Yeah.
the internet or smartphones,
Right.
anytime there's a big technological shift,
Yeah.
there's going to be some disruption.
Uh-huh.
But it also creates new opportunities.
Yeah.
So
It's like adaptation, learning new skills.
imagine like a whole career around designing AI-powered entertainment or
Right.
personalized education. That would be super cool.
That is really interesting.
Yeah.
So it's like this whole new world of
Yeah.
possibilities.
Exactly.
But let's kind of zoom out for a second
Yeah.
and think about the bigger picture. Like, how will this impact society as a whole?
Yeah.
And one thing that I saw in some of the sources was
Yeah.
this idea that if we adopt generative AI
Okay.
on a large scale, we might actually end up working less.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
A shorter work week for everyone.
a shorter work week.
That's interesting.
Because if AI can do all these things, it can boost productivity.
Mm-hmm.
And we theoretically could maintain
Yeah.
or even exceed output levels, but just work less.
Okay, so more time for family, hobbies,
Yeah.
relaxing.
4-day work week.
Sign me up.
Sign me up. But there are definitely some big questions that come along with that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
What happens to wages
Mhm.
if everybody's working less,
Right. Are we all going to get paid the same?
right? Would everybody benefit from
Yeah. Will there even be wages? I don't know.
Right. These are big societal questions
It is.
that we have to think about.
And it's not just about economics. The AI automation and new jobs article also talked about
Yeah.
environmental impact.
Yeah.
Because if we have all this AI, it's going to require a lot of energy. We're going to need more data centers.
Huge data centers.
Yeah.
And what does that mean for
What does it
that
mean for...
infrastructure for our
Yeah.
planet?
It's a lot to consider. Yeah, I think that's a really good point because a lot of times we focus on the technology and we don't think about
The bigger picture.
the consequences.
Absolutely. It's really
It's
interesting.
not just about the cool things AI can do.
Right?
It's going to reshape our whole world.
It really is fascinating to think about all these things.
It is. It's a lot to unpack, so maybe we should take a little pause here.
Okay.
And then in the next part, we can delve into some of these bigger implications.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back after a short break.
You know, thinking about all this stuff, about how generative AI could change society, I'm also curious to think about how it could affect the world stage.
Oh, yeah.
The geopolitical landscape, you know?
It's true, I mean.
We're talking about AI that can create almost anything.
Right. It really is.
What does that mean for international relations?
It's a little bit of a wild card, right?
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, you could have incredibly advanced technology being developed.
Right.
Whether that's military applications or economic tools.
Yeah.
And you wonder if it will create more competition between countries.
Yeah.
Or if it might actually lead to more collaboration.
Right. Or maybe even more conflict.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the propaganda that could be created.
Absolutely.
With AI-generated deepfakes.
It's terrifying.
It could be almost impossible to know what's real and what's fake.
It's true.
And that could really fuel some mistrust.
That's scary.
Conflict between countries.
Yeah. It's like a whole other level of
Yeah.
information warfare that we haven't even seen yet.
But on the flip side,
Yeah.
what if AI could be used to, like,
Educate.
help with diplomatic negotiations?
Okay.
Or to predict or prevent conflict?
Interesting.
It could analyze all this data and look for potential flashpoints and maybe suggest strategies for, like, de-escalation.
So it could be a tool for peace.
Right. Exactly.
It's interesting because it really seems like with generative AI, how it impacts the world really depends on us.
On how we choose to use it.
Absolutely.
It all comes down to human intentions and how we govern this technology.
It's true. And that makes me think about something we kind of touched on earlier, which is this idea of AI actually making decisions.
Oh,
and there are some people who think that AI could make more objective, more rational decisions than humans because AI doesn't have emotions.
Okay.
Hello.
You know, especially in sensitive areas like social policy or
even in justice.
The justice system.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a compelling idea.
Imagine that, like a world where everything is completely based on
data,
logic and data.
No human biases.
Yeah, and no emotions.
It could lead to a more just society.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
But is that even realistic? Because even if it's based on data, who's creating that data?
It's still humans.
It's humans, yeah.
At the end of the day. And so wouldn't that data be biased?
Right. And we've seen algorithms that perpetuate inequality.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's really important to remember that AI is a tool.
Yeah.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
It reflects the biases of the people who create it.
It's like if we're not careful.
Right.
AI could just make things worse.
Absolutely.
It's not just about making AI smarter.
Right.
It's about making it more equitable.
Yeah.
More ethical.
We need to think about the data we're using, the algorithms we're building, and what the consequences.
It's complex.
Yeah.
But it's something we have to address.
It is, because it's already having an impact.
Yeah.
As it gets more powerful, these ethical considerations are only going to get more important.
It's a lot, and we also, have to think about.
And the potential for misuse.
Oh.
I mean, it's not just accidental biases. We're talking about people intentionally using it for bad things.
I mean, it can create anything.
Exactly.
So what's the worst case scenario?
I mean,
what could happen?
Imagine AI being used to generate like hyper-realistic deepfakes for disinformation campaigns.
Right.
Or to create harmful content that spreads quickly online.
Yeah.
It could even be used to automate cyber attacks.
Oh, wow.
It could make it much easier for people to do bad things.
It's like the consequences are just amplified.
It's like giving someone a megaphone.
Yeah.
And hoping they use it for good.
It's a good analogy.
Right.
But
it's important to remember that any powerful technology can be used for good or for bad.
It's true.
It's how we choose to use it that matters.
So it's not about being afraid of AI.
Right.
It's about being responsible, developing safeguards.
Yeah, ethical guidelines.
Right, making sure we're using it for good.
Absolutely.
We need to be proactive about the risks, but also be excited about the potential benefits.
It's a balance.
It is. It's a balancing act.
Okay, so we've talked about all these different aspects of AI, but let's look further down the road.
Okay.
What do you think? How might this evolve over the next 50 years?
Oh, wow.
Will we see AI that's as creative as humans?
Yeah, 50 years, that's a big question.
Or more so?
Yeah, I mean...
Will it be solving the world's problems? Or
It's hard to predict.
Yeah.
But it's fun to think about.
It is fun to speculate. So what are some of the things that you're excited about or maybe...
Okay, well, on the optimistic side,
Yeah.
imagine AI accelerating scientific discovery and innovation.
Okay.
AI systems that can analyze huge data sets of scientific literature. Right. Find patterns, connections that humans might miss.
Wow.
Maybe even generate hypotheses for new experiments.
So it's like AI being a partner.
Right, like a research assistant?
Yeah, scientific research assistant.
Pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
That's pretty amazing.
It is.
And not even just science, right?
Right.
It could be medicine. It could be engineering.
Yeah. New drugs.
Yeah.
New materials, new technologies.
That could change our lives.
It's exciting to think about.
And then what about creativity?
Oh, yeah.
We're already seeing AI composing music.
Right. Writing poetry.
Writing poetry, creating art.
Creating art, yeah.
What happens when it becomes...
What happens when AI is as creative as humans, or even more creative?
Yeah. Do we value it the same way?
Yeah. Will we even be able to tell the difference?
Yeah, I don't know.
What does it mean for creativity itself if machines can do it better than us?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
So it's almost like this new era?
Yeah. A new artistic era.
Of art where the lines are blurred?
Where we don't know what's human and what's machine.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And it's full of possibilities, but also potential problems.
Yeah, I think
we need to be thoughtful and responsible about how we navigate this.
We've talked about all these different facets of AI.
Right.
But at the end of the day...
It is a tool.
It is a tool, right?
Yeah.
It all comes back to us.
It comes back to our choices and how we use it.
Sometimes we talk about AI like it has a mind of its own.
Right, like it's this independent thing.
Right.
But it's not.
But it's really not.
It's a reflection of us.
It is.
Our values, our fears, our hopes.
The future of AI isn't predetermined.
No, it's something we're creating.
It is something we are actively shaping.
Yeah.
It's a powerful thought.
It's a lot of responsibility.
It is a lot of responsibility. We can't just sit back and be like, well, let's just see what happens.
We need to be involved.
We have to be active in shaping it.
And making sure it's used for good.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need to be having these conversations.
Yeah, we need to be talking about this stuff.
And working together to find solutions.
So much to consider.
It is, yeah.
Before we wrap up this part,
okay,
I want to leave our listeners with something to ponder.
Oh, I like that.
Okay.
A little cliffhanger.
A little cliffhanger.
All right.
What happens if AI becomes so advanced that it can solve all of our problems?
Like all of them?
Climate change, poverty, disease, everything.
That would be amazing.
It would be amazing, right?
Yeah.
But what happens to us in that scenario?
What happens to humans?
Do we become complacent?
Yeah. Do we lose our motivation?
Do we lose our drive?
Do we just sit back and let AI do everything?
Right. What's the point of human ingenuity?
Yeah, if we don't need it anymore.
If we don't need it anymore.
That's a deep question.
I can't wait to talk about it more in part 3.
Me too.
You know, we ended last time talking about what if AI solved all our problems?
Yeah, it's a real head scratcher.
Like, would we even have a purpose anymore? Would we just kind of...
Right. Would we just become blobs?
Yeah. It's this weird paradox.
Yeah, because on the one hand, it sounds amazing.
Right.
Like, who wouldn't want a world without poverty or disease?
Exactly. But then you start thinking about...
Right, what happens to us?
Yeah, what do we do?
Do we even need to do anything?
Yeah, like, is human ingenuity even necessary anymore?
Yeah, it's like, if AI is taking care of everything, do we just become obsolete?
It's like that tree falling in the forest thing.
Totally.
If nobody's around to hear it, does it even matter?
Right, does it make a sound?
But I also wonder if maybe we're being a little pessimistic.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
Like, humans are naturally curious.
Yeah, we like to solve problems.
We like to solve problems. We like to create things.
We're tinkerers.
I don't know if we just stop doing that.
Right. Maybe it's not about complacency.
Yeah.
Maybe it's about shifting our focus.
Okay, what do you mean?
Like, instead of worrying about basic survival, we could use AI to help us tackle these bigger questions.
Like the really big problems.
Yes, the stuff we can only dream of right now.
So things like interstellar travel.
Yeah.
Understanding the human brain.
Curing aging.
Reversing aging.
Things like that.
Wow. the possibilities are kind of endless.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing.
AI could be like this partner.
Right, like we're explorers.
Yeah, and AI is like...
And AI is our guide.
Our guide and our tools.
Exactly.
That's a much more optimistic way.
Right, it's not about replacing us. It's about empowering us.
It's about working together.
Yeah, collaborating.
But even in that scenario, I think we'd still need to think about the ethical stuff.
Definitely, because even if AI is our partner...
Right.
We're still the ones calling the shots.
Yeah. Who decides what problems AI should solve?
Right, and whose values are baked into these AI systems.
Right.
That's a big question.
Especially when AI is so powerful.
Yeah, we need a new way of thinking about ethics.
We do.
We have to make sure the benefits are shared equally.
Absolutely.
It can't just be for a select few.
So it's this really complex challenge.
It is, but it's also an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, we get to shape this.
We do. We can guide it in a direction that benefits everyone.
It's not about controlling AI.
It's about collaborating with it.
Yeah, making sure it's used for good.
For good, not for evil.
It's like we're at this crossroads.
We are.
One path leads to more inequality, more division.
Yeah.
And the other path.
The other path leads to a better world.
A more just world.
And a more sustainable world.
Yeah, and we have to choose the right path.
And choosing the right path means talking about it, engaging with these issues.
Having these tough conversations.
Working together.
Yeah, it can't be left to chance.
We have to be intentional.
So we've talked a lot about generative AI.
Yeah.
From jobs to the environment to geopolitics, ethics.
It's been quite a journey.
It really is amazing to think about how much this technology could change the world.
And I think the biggest takeaway is that the future is not set in stone.
We're writing it right now.
We're writing it with every choice we make.
Yeah, with every line of code.
With every conversation.
And to everyone listening.
Yeah, to our listeners.
Stay curious about this stuff. Stay informed.
Yeah.
And most importantly, stay engaged.
Stay engaged.
The future is being written right now.
It is.
And we all have a role to play.
We do.